Hello besties. Welcome to Emma's Tales. Please subscribe and leave a like for us. It means the world to us. Also, share this video with your loved ones and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you as you do so. Sit back and relax as we dive into this story. They called it tough love. I called it betrayal. Smash that subscribe button, besties. Here's how a family road trip turned into my exile. I'm saying those words to you right now, in this moment, because I need you sitting beside me for the next 15 minutes of confession. Feel the seatbelt dig into your collarbone. Hear the highway wind roaring through a cracked window. Taste the coppery fear in the back of your throat. Good. Now slide with me into the past. Flashback with me. Rapid cuts. My 11th birthday. Mom swore nobody could come to my party because everyone's parents forgot. I cried into a funfetti sheet cake until midnight. Then, surprise. They popped out of closets laughing at my puffy eyes. Funny, right? 8th grade play. I stepped on stage as Juliet in a thrift store dress 2 sizes too small. My siblings had accidentally swapped it for the costume rack's reject pile. Audience erupted. Hilarious, yeah. Senior prom. Brother Dion texted my date the wrong address. I posed for photos alone by the living room ficus until sunrise. Comedy gold. Apparently. They said humiliation builds character. In reality, it built scar tissue, thick, tender, and invisible enough that even I forgot it was there. 2 months ago I crossed the stage at Emory, diploma in hand, cum laude in digital media design. I'd already bookmarked creative agency jobs in Charlotte, maybe Austin if I dared. That night, the family took me to Vernon's Steak and Seafood. White tablecloths, hush puppy baskets, the whole We're Proud of You production. Dad carved into his ribeye. So, when do you start at Clark Freight Logistics? The steak stopped mid-chew inside my mouth. I swallowed the wrong way. I wasn't planning to. Mom dabbed her lips with a linen napkin. Baby, you'll redesign our invoices, run a cute social feed, keep your hand out of starvation. Practicality, not pipe dreams. The table nodded like a jury. The walls closed in, steakhouse air suddenly thick with pepper and expectation. I felt 10 years old again, knees knocking under a birthday table. Defeat tasted metallic. Yet, tiny rebellion. I pressed a thumb drive of my portfolio into my blazer pocket, alive and warm against my palm. I didn't argue that night. Survival meant silence, for now. 1 week later Mom floated the idea of a bonding road trip to Zion National Park. Her tone was sugar. Graduation present, fresh air. Ever accepted a ride you knew would crash? Same. Still part of me, scrawny hopeful thing. Imagine Sunrise Canyon hikes with siblings who might finally treat me like a human, not the family piñata. So I said yes. Survival. Again. We left Birmingham at dawn. Dad's SUV smelled of leather and spilt coffee. The mood. Off. Too calm, like the moment before a tornado. Dion hoisted my suitcase into the trunk without a joke. Sister Tosha actually asked how my playlists were coming. Even the engine idle felt scripted. The silence had teeth. Hours blurred, Mississippi swamp pines, then Texas scrub, then the flat cruel openness of Nevada. No prank, no jab. My pulse never settled. Even now I can replay the details in slow motion. Dad's fingers tapping the steering wheel to classic rock. Mom's cherry lipstick prints on a styrofoam soda lid. Dion googling Zion Instagram spots. The hush behind it all, a gotcha cocked and ready. High noon. The horizon quivered in 90-something heat. Dad signaled right, gravel crunching under tires as we rolled into a parking lot the size of a football field with Dust Hollow Regional Bus Terminal peeling off a sun-bleached sign. 2 busted platforms, a vending area, and 1 cinder block building that smelled like powdered soap. Stretch your legs, Dad yawned. Bathroom break. I hopped out, sneaker soles sticking to asphalt. Inside, fluorescent lights flickered like dying bees, powdered soap and echoes. Neon tubes blinked overhead, making my reflection stutter in the cracked mirror. One moment calm, next moment ghostly. I splashed water on my cheeks, breathed through the knot in my stomach, and rehearsed the line I'd say when I got back to the van. See? I remembered the orange soda this time. No one would laugh, but maybe, just maybe, they wouldn't tease me either. Out in the vending nook, the cashier from earlier waited behind thick safety glass. Silver bangles chimed every time she tapped the register keys. Tiny music fighting the stale air. "Back so soon, sugar?" she asked, sliding the candy chute door for my gummy bears. "Long drive," I shrugged. "Fueling up." Her eyes, soft and knowing, tracked me the way teachers track the quiet kid who sits alone at lunch. "Ride treat you right, honey." I almost replied it usually doesn't, then grabbed orange soda for Dion, beef jerky for Tosha, and a pack of gummy bears for me. The cashier, silver bangles chiming on her wrist, slid my change across the counter. "You folks passin' through?" she asked. "Yeah. Headed to Utah," I smiled. Her eyes, brown, kind, a little sad, lingered on me. "Hope your ride treats you right, honey." I would remember that sentence on nights I couldn't breathe. Brown grocery bag crinkling in my arms, I pushed the glass door open, and sunlight punched me square in the face. At first I laughed. Of course they were parked around back. Or maybe Dad circled to fuel up. I turned left, saw nothing but highway. Turned right, tumbleweeds, a chain-link fence, sun-scorched pavement shimmering like water. Bag slipped from my fingers. Jerky hit the ground with a sad thud. I spun. Heart hammered. Focus. Phone. I dialed Dad. Straight to voicemail. Tried Mom. Rings. Then click. Dion answered on the fourth ring. Laughter bubbling behind his voice. "We're about 20 minutes down I-80, he said through giggles. My lungs collapsed inward. You're joking. Survival training, sis. Think of it as a field test." More laughter. Someone, Tosha, shouted, "Let's see how fast she hitchhikes." My vision tunneled. "Come back right now." "Check your phone," Dion sang, and hung up. Notification ping. A selfie of the four of them in the SUV, sunglasses reflecting blue sky, caption in all caps. "Let's see how far she makes it on her own." Heat rose from asphalt into my bones. My phone battery, 16%. Suitcase, gone. All my clothes, laptop, chargers, gone. In my purse, $48 cash, a debit card with maybe 200, and that warm thumb drive of dreams. I waited. 10 minutes. 20. The parking lot stayed empty. Cicadas rattled. A dust devil twisted across the road like some wicked ribbon dancer, then vanished. The shock calcified into something heavier. Recognition. They are really not coming back. Hours blurred. I sat on a cracked bench under the station awning, legs pulled to chest, gummy bears melted in my fists. Sweat dried, then resprouted. My mind argued with reality. They'll return at sunset for the grand reveal. They'll record my meltdown, post it on Reels. They've taught me a lesson. I should be grateful. By 7 p.m. the sky bled orange. Still no van. The cashier from earlier, her name tag read Geneva, locked the station doors. She looked over, startled. "Baby, you've been sitting there since lunch. Where's your people?" I opened my mouth. No sound came. Geneva stepped closer, keys jangling. "What do you mean they left you?" Tears finally breached. They're not coming back. A cigarette ember of anger flared in her eyes. "That ain't a joke. That's cruelty. You can't stay out here," she said, guiding me inside the dim lobby. "Not safe after dark." She handed me a paper cup of tap water, plugged my phone into the staffroom socket, and ordered a packet of peanut butter crackers from the vending machine. "You hungry?" I nodded, cheeks burning, throat raw from unshed sobs. She watched me devour the crackers. "I got a friend, Miss Gloria Reyes. Rents out a room to women in tight spots. Retired librarian. Geneva raised an eyebrow. You trust me. I glanced at the empty lot outside, the dark blue bowl of sky stretching forever. I trust you. 15 minutes later, a silver Toyota rolled up. Gloria, grey curls tucked into a floral scarf, gave me the softest evening sweetheart I'd heard in my life. I climbed into her car with nothing but my purse and a heartbeat that sounded like broken cymbals. Gloria's bungalow sat 5 blocks from the depot, paint peeling but windows glowing with warm light. She showed me a tiny guest room, twin bed, quilt smelling of lavender, chipped dresser, whirring desk fan. She laid a cotton nightgown and a still-packaged toothbrush on the pillow. You're safe here, she said, hand on my shoulder. Sleep. We'll talk options in the morning. I curled on that bed, face pressed into lavender cotton, and let every tear I'd stored since childhood spill. Sobbed for the birthday that wasn't. For prom night alone. For my portfolio shoved into a family glove box. Sobbed until salt crusted dry on my cheeks and silence finally soothed me to sleep. I woke to sunlight slanting through lace curtains. My phone, fully charged, blinked with messages. Day 2 of Imani's wilderness survival camp. Learn anything yet? Tosha. Start hitchhiking yet? Don't forget Tio's smile for the camera's smiling face with sunglasses. Dion. We called your landlord. No need to pay rent while you figure things out. Motivation. Mom. Pain does strange mathematics. 3 texts equaled 1 conclusion. They had removed every safety net to ensure I'd crawl back broken and grateful. My tears dried mid-cheek. Something inside clicked like a new gear. I whispered, I'm done. And the word wasn't defeat. It was ignition. That morning, over oatmeal and gospel music in Gloria's kitchen, I accepted her offer. Temporary room for sweat equity shelving used books at her second-hand shop. Geneva filed the paperwork so I could pick up part-time shifts at Dust Hollow Diner. I said yes to all of it, not knowing where the path led, just knowing it wasn't back. A week later, Gloria drove me to the depot so I could pick up a diner uniform from management. We rolled past the very bench where I'd melted like discarded candy. Sunlight bounced off the empty lot. Same lot, new girl. We parked. I opened the door, glanced at gravel sparkling like tiny mirrors, and a realization washed over me. I didn't know it then. But the moment Dad said, stretch your legs, I was stepping out of their lives forever. Besties, if your own spark of survival ever lit up in the unlikeliest place, tap that heart so the algorithm knows resilience has a home here. Share this story with someone who needs proof that exile can be the first page of reinvention. The phone's vibration rattles the borrowed nightstand. A single thought blinks through my half-dreaming mind. Earn today, breathe tomorrow. I swing my legs over the edge of Gloria's spare room bed, toes brushing hardwood still cool from desert night. Pull on stiff black cafe jeans, knot hair into a bun, slip thrift store sneakers whose soles flap if I don't step just right. The morning is dark enough to hide doubts. Dust Hollow Diner looks like every movie set version of Nowhere. Neon Eat sign flickering, chrome stools with torn red vinyl, a jukebox that swallows quarters but never sings. I clock in with a smudge of fingerprint on the punch card machine. Sizzle. Egg meets griddle. Pop bacon fat kisses stainless steel. The air grows thick with salt and caffeine. I work the line because the owner, Hank, decided new girls got fast hands. Translation. I flip pancakes while regular cook Gary takes smoke breaks. By 6 a.m. the trucker crowd stomps in, boots dusty, eyes fogged from highway dawn. Orders fly, short stack, over easy, extra crispy hash. I catch plates, swivel, slide them down the counter. It's an exhausting ballet, but every clang of spatula says survive, survive, survive. And deep underneath, a softer murmur. Build, build, build. Sheesh girl, you're moving like you got rent due and a dream to fund. Maya Collins, head server, breezes by in bright sneakers and an apron scribbled with Sharpie hearts. She's 26, single mom of twin toddlers, and the living embodiment of a caffeine shot. I grin through steam. Both are true. She taps the side of her head. Remember, free 99 therapy right here, sis. Just ask. Then she's gone, delivering coffee refills with a hip sway that dares the morning to dull her shine. Between orders she leans across the pass-through. Family still ghosting you? Worse. They're texting like I'm on some reality TV challenge. She whistles low. Girl, they didn't ghost you, they freed you. Chains look different when you're born wearing them. Maya's words land like warm bread. Simple, filling, exactly what I didn't know I craved. Shift done. I trade apron for a faded cardigan, wipe bacon grease from my hairline, jog 5 blocks under a sun now high enough to fry logic. Geneva's bookstore sign, pages and provisions, glints hopeful in the light. Inside smells of paper dust and lemon wood polish. Ceiling fans swish slow, slicing heat into manageable strands. Stacks await, sagging towers of westerns, romances, war memoirs. Geneva, bangles singing, waves from the back. That cart there's for alphabetizing, sugar. And Lord, if you've got ideas for my sorry excuse of a flyer, please save my soul. The flyer in question is Clip Art Hell, Comic Sans headline, pixelated book clip, phone number scrawled in biro. It should be a crime on 3 counts: design, dignity, and eye strain. I promise her I'll play around tonight. Translation: I am already sketching color palettes in my head. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. The store empties, cicadas start their witch saw song outside, and Geneva flips the closed sign. We sweep, restock, breathe the hush. She pauses beside me, palm on my shoulder. You glow tired, baby, but you glow. I laugh, tiny, surprised. I hadn't realized until that moment that under the exhaustion there is a glow. Small but sure, like the ember of a campfire someone nearly stomped out before realizing fire can't be bullied so easily. Later, Gloria lets me use her ancient laptop at the kitchen table. Keys stick, screen flickers, but Photoshop loads after enough pleading. I rebuild Geneva's flyer from scratch. Deep teal background, cream serif text, sketch of an open book whose pages morph into desert mountains. Added tagline, stories that outlast the dust. Fresh ink smell exists only in my imagination for now, but I can almost scent it. At midnight I email the design to Geneva, heartbeat thumping like bass. Ping. Outbox empties. Dream travels. Grease pops. Coffee steams. The rhythm is familiar now, like souls on a stairs workout. At 7 a.m. Maya slides a phone under my nose. Geneva's new flyer posted on Facebook. Look at those likes climbing, girl, ding, ding, ding. Every notification is a tiny bell in my chest. 17 likes, 23, 41. Comments. Who did your design? About time, Jen. The numbers aren't viral by internet standards, but for a small desert town they feel colossal. Proof I can add color to a world that nearly drained me of mine. Maya wiggles eyebrows. Told you. Liberation looks good on you. The diner's Wi-Fi is suspect, but that morning I'm scrolling LinkedIn's mobile site during break, polishing my digital portfolio. A guy at the counter, latte instead of black coffee, laptop covered in code stickers, glances over. Curiosity sparks behind tortoiseshell glasses. Sorry, he says, friendly. Couldn't help noticing your mock-ups. You design professionally. Trying to, I answer, wiping syrup off my wrist. He extends a hand. Rafael Ortiz, freelance web dev. I'm all CSS and JavaScript, but my visuals are, tragic. You open to collaboration gigs? Cautious excitement bubbles. I recall Mom at the steakhouse saying, starve trying to be creative. I imagine handing her a plate of crow. I nod. Let's talk after my shift. He flips a business card onto the counter. Crisp, minimalist, but begging for a facelift. Opportunity sometimes wears plain clothes and waits patiently to be dressed. We sit in the diner's last booth, ketchup bottle between us like neutral territory. Raphael sketches wireframes on a napkin. I draw icons in the margins. He thumbs through my portfolio on an iPad. Your color theory is fire. I've got 2 small business sites stalled for lack of branding. The fear voice, unqualified, too green, family said so, tries to speak. Hustle voice drowns it. Say yes. Learn while running. Let's start with 1, I say. Shake hands. Partnership born over yesterday's coffee rings. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Back at the bookstore for evening shift. Geneva greets me with a hug strong enough to pop vertebrae. Customers loved the flyer. 3 new walk-ins this afternoon. You're magic, baby. She slips an envelope into my apron pocket. Later I open it in the stockroom. 20 used 20s, crisp 10s, and a sticky note shaped like a starburst. Design fee. Worth every penny. I count $250. My chest floods with something I can't name at first. Then I realize it's pride, pure and undiluted. I sink onto a stack of milk crates, press the bills to my face, and weep the opposite of desert tears. These are rain. Raphael shows up with a typed agreement. Logo suite, color palette, website graphics, $600 split over milestones. I sign. Pens scratch on paper, sounding like doors yanked open. We high-five awkwardly. The bookstore lights glow amber around us, turning dusty air into glitter. Geneva snaps a Polaroid, insists on commemorating the birth of greatness. I tuck the photo into my wallet behind my student ID, proof both versions of me exist. The girl who graduated into captivity and the woman carving her own latchkey. Gloria's sofa is cozy, but ambition needs room. I scour classified ads at her kitchen table. Studio above barbershop. $300 per MO. Utilities included, month to month. Address. Main Street. Directly opposite Dust Hollow Depot. Irony tastes like strong coffee. The sight of my humiliation will now pay rent in inspiration. I call the number. Schedule viewing for tomorrow. The landlord is a widower named Mr. Patel who cares more about steady payments than credit history. He jingles 2 bronze keys. First month and deposit, you're in. I hand over the envelope with Geneva's $250 plus diner tips stuffed into corners. Patel counts. Shrugs. Close enough. You seem good for it. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Stairs creak as I climb to the studio. 400 square feet, 1 cracked window, sagging linoleum, view of the depot roof shimmering in heat. I whisper into the emptiness. I slept above the scene of the crime, but I wasn't its victim anymore. A breeze passes through, as if the room exhales welcome. Maya appears with a twin-size air mattress, Geneva with boxes of second-hand dishes, Gloria with a potted cactus. Because it thrives on neglect, you'll relate. Raphael lugs in a thrifted desk and a monitor that looks like it once served NASA in '98. We eat $slice pizza cross-legged on the floor. Someone turns on a Bluetooth speaker. Sam Cooke croons again. I look around at these near strangers who feel closer than blood, and gratitude sits warm beneath my sternum. From my window I watch a night bus break at the platform. Hiss, sigh, growl. Passengers disembark, stretch, smoke. I imagine telling each weary traveler, you're allowed to start over. I am bone-tired, but energy crackles in my fingertips. I open the laptop, rough draft Raphael's client logo until eyes blur. The glow of the monitor paints the walls soft blue. Somewhere in the background my phone buzzes. Unknown number. I ignore it. 5 minutes later. Voicemail. Curiosity wins. I press play. Dion's voice low, almost pleading. Imani, where are you? Call us. I stare at the phone, thumb hovering, then swipe delete. No anger, no ache. Just emptiness vacuum sealed and replaced by purpose. I whisper to the dark. Let them chase phantoms. I was chasing invoices. And with that, I close the laptop, crawl onto the air mattress, and let the future draft itself in my dreams. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. The scissors were the color of sunrise, bright, almost metallic orange, and when they sliced through the thin ribbon stretched across the doorway, the entire street erupted. Geneva rang the bookstore bell like she was summoning angels. Maya hooped loud enough to rattle the cafe windows, and Raphael tossed a fistful of biodegradable confetti that glittered in the shallow June light. I heard my name bounce off bricks, slide under parked cars, lift into the desert sky. Imani, Imani, Imani. It felt too big for one heart, so I let it spill into every corner of the new studio. Inside, Bloom and Bite Creative smelled of fresh paint and still warm paper. The front wall wore our logo, ink black vine curling into a pixelated bloom, while the opposite wall displayed our first dozen clients' posters like proud kindergarten drawings on a fridge. We had exactly one real office chair, 3 mismatched thrift store desks, and a second-hand laser printer that screeched like a barn owl each time it woke from sleep. But we also had 3 signed retainers, a wait list, and more ideas than wall space. When the local newspaper photographer asked us to pose, I stood in my cobalt thrift shop blazer pretending my knees weren't shaking. Raphael, already sweating through his collar, leaned close and whispered, "Smile like we've been doing this forever." So I did, and for one shutterbright moment, I believed it. The next 12 months sped past like a montage somebody else edited. First invoice paid in full. First midnight redesign that saved a campaign hours before launch. First out-of-state client, an herbal tea startup in Oregon, who mailed us 6 crates of product instead of 1 because they were excited to share the love. On weekends, the studio turned into a karaoke bar. Mismatched chairs pushed aside, Maya spinning in socks while her twins used ruined proof sheets as makeshift capes. Geneva often arrived with lemonade and the latest gossip, bragging to anyone within earshot. Next door? That's my designer. I'd correct her. Co-founder, Geneva, designer and co-founder, but she only winked, the silver bangles on her wrists chiming like tiny church bells. I should have known something would crack the shine. Nothing that bright stays unshadowed forever. We were 3 logos deep into a Monday morning when my phone began buzzing across the drafting table. Screen lit. Dion Clark. Video call. My breath caught. That old reflex, hope laced with dread, still lived under my ribs. I could have ignored it. I answered anyway. The camera opened on my brother's face, older now, hairline receding, but the same grin that once hid every dagger. He flipped the camera almost immediately. My mother waved from behind a grill, a spatula in one hand, 2 burgers smoking in the other. Dad lounged in a deck chair lifting a beer. My sister Tasha blew a kiss to the lens like we were college roommates catching up, not volcanoes simmering on opposite sides of a fault line. Look y'all, Dion crowed. Miss Big Time Designer herself. Every molecule of air in my studio thickened. I spoke slowly, evenly. This line is for business calls only. Goodbye, Dion. They tried to talk over one another. It's a family barbecue, come visit, we miss you. But I hit the red button and the screen went black. The silence that followed roared in my ears until Raphael, across the room, cleared his throat. Everything good. Everything clear, I answered, sliding the phone face down beneath a stack of invoices. The first letter came 2 days later. Heavy cream envelope slipped under the studio door. No return address. Bold type. Expensive ink. We just want to talk. Family should stick together. No signature, but I smelled my father's aftershave on the paper. Cedar and something sharper, like betrayal polished to a shine. I tore the page in half, then in quarters, then fed the pieces to the office shredder. The machine whirred, satisfied. A second envelope followed, thicker, Dad's unmistakable scroll blaring across the back. Call US. I shredded that one too, though it left tiny slivers of jasmine perfume on my fingertips. Mom's favorite guilt disguise. By the third letter my hands were trembling, paper cuts stinging along my knuckles like a row of small fires. I pressed them to the cool window glass until the burn dulled. Raphael suggested changing the studio's mail slot, maybe adding a lockbox. I shook my head. Locks don't stop memories, I told him, and I'm done hiding. Easier to shred than to run. Summer slid toward monsoon season, the kind that painted the sky bruise purple just to hear thunder argue across the valley. One late August afternoon I sat with a new client, walking her through a mood board for her vintage clothing line. Sun-washed oranges, dusty lilacs, sunlight through lace, when the entry bell chimed. The client kept talking. I froze. I knew that perfume before I saw her. Jasmine, faintly overripe. Mom stepped inside, clutching her purse the way drowning hands clutch driftwood. She looked smaller than my memory, shoulder pads sloping, hair too perfectly set for the oppressive humidity outside. "Imani," she said, voice cracked at the edges. I guided my client to the conference nook, apologized, and promised watercolors of lilac before end of day. She left, eyes dancing between me and the stranger. When the door shut, the room felt vacuumed of oxygen. "We can speak in my office," I told Mom. She followed, heels clicking like hesitant punctuation. I remained seated behind my desk, oak slab I'd sanded and stained the night we moved in, because standing might feel like giving ground. Mom perched in the visitor chair, purse planted on her knees, fingers plucking at the clasp. The wall clock's second hand knocked every moment forward with exaggerated patience. "We made a terrible mistake," she began. Her lipstick wavered. "It was meant, at first, as a prank, but it spiraled. Your father thought. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button." I lifted my hand. No rehearsed excuses. Listen instead. I didn't raise my voice. I poured each word the way a jeweler sets stones, precise and irreversible. "You didn't toughen me, Mother. You terrorized me. You stranded a daughter in a desert to see if humiliation would teach obedience. It didn't." I took a breath so the anger wouldn't fracture the sentence. "I built a life you cannot enter by default. Contact from now on happens only on my terms. Calls, letters, surprise visits. Any harassment triggers legal protection. That includes restraining orders against each of you." Tears surfaced, caught on her mascara. She reached across the desk, fingertips trembling near my notepad. I stayed still. Touch would have been nostalgia's trapdoor. Instead I slid a printed sheet across, the lawyer's address, my boundaries distilled into bullet points. "This isn't cruelty," I said softly. "It's self-defense." She pressed the paper to her chest like it could stop a bullet, then nodded, one jerky, devastated motion. "Your father's not well," she tried. "He wants. I hope he finds peace," I interrupted. "But that's not mine to give." A storm cracked outside, thunder rolling directly overhead. For a moment I saw a flicker of the Loretta who used to braid my hair before school pictures, the tenderness that nearly convinced me childhood was safe. Then the flicker vanished. She rose, smoothed her skirt, and walked out without another word. The bell chimed, the door shut. Rain began hammering the tin awning, applause for the courage it took just to breathe. That night the studio glowed blue with screen light. Raphael had long since gone home, printers slept, even the depot across the street seemed quieter as the storm trudged east. I drafted a single email addressed to my family. Subject: formal notice of boundaries. I do not call, text, email, or visit my residence or workplace. All communication must route through attorney Caleb Myers and Ross LLP. Any violation will prompt immediate legal action. This is non-negotiable. Imani Clark. I read it twice, added a period after the final sentence because clean endings matter, then pressed send. The computer chimed, polite, final. Something inside me unclenched, a muscle I'd kept braced since the bus station, and stayed loose for the first time in years. I stepped onto the balcony that overlooked Main Street. The neon depot sign flickered, half its bulbs blown, but still it pronounced the town's name in ragged letters. Dust Hollow. Water rushed in gutters. Lightning stitched the clouds. I let the rain soak my hair, my blazer, the paper cuts on my hands, until every sting cooled. 2 weeks later, Bloom and Bite made the regional edition of Southwest Creative, Desert Visionaries. 10 agencies redefining rural branding. Our photo filled half a page. Raphael mid-laugh, me in the cobalt blazer, confetti still lodged in my curls. The writer called us a storm-born partnership turning isolation into innovation. I pinned the article on the lobby corkboard, right above our very first invoice, and took a moment to memorize how success looked in print. That afternoon my inbox dinged. Mom, proud of you. Beautiful article. No greeting, no apology, just 4 words that once would have been oxygen. I hovered over the message, clicked delete, and emptied the trash folder for good measure. The notification disappeared. The silence that followed felt like freshly painted walls, bare, solvent sharp, full of possibility. I turned the office speakers up, let old soul music flood the room, and got back to work lining other people's dreams with color. I'd switched off their noise. Now I could hear my life clearly. And it was loud with everything I had chosen. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. The tall windows of Bloom and Bite face the east, so every morning the desert sun pours in like liquid gold. When the light hits our corkboard wall, it bounces from frame to frame. A vegan cafe logo in muted sage, a rodeo poster roaring red, a tech startup's landing page frozen mid-scroll. 6 years ago that wall was blank drywall and a dream. Today it's a collage of proof. My proof. Our proof. At 9:30, the studio is already humming. Brianna, junior designer, argues lovingly with Matteo, front-end sorcerer, about whether the new color palette is sunrise peach or melon sherbet. June, project manager, taps a pencil in perfect eighth notes while building timelines. Geneva's midday delivery, homemade blueberry scones, has left the place smelling like July. And in the glassed-in corner office, Raphael is leading a stand-up that started as a quick sync and morphed into a laughing fit. We count 6 full-time employees now, plus a rotating cast of freelancers who treat our shared Slack like the most wholesome late-night group chat on earth. Even the landlord, Mr. Patel, asks if he can brag that the agency in his upstairs unit wins awards and still pays rent early. Yes, sir, you can. I stroll the hallway, fingertips brushing picture frames, letting the sun warm the last of last night's chill from my knuckles. On one wall we've started a second row. Mentor portraits. Gloria, Geneva, Maya, and a growing list of small-town champions who fed our hustle before it had teeth. Every time a new project launches, we print a miniature of the final design and pin it under one of those faces, like laying flowers at the feet of elders. The wall is getting crowded. It's my favorite problem. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Home is 15 minutes west, past the diner where I still grab coffee for nostalgia and Maya's gossip. The house sits on 2 acres of scrubland that erupts in yellow wildflowers each spring. Jordan calls it the sunrise porch because the front steps glow first, but I prefer how the back porch catches the last of day. We married here 3 summers ago, his colleagues from the community college lugging folding chairs, Raphael live-streaming for clients who claimed they couldn't bear to miss the brand launch of Imani's next life chapter. Jordan was the first person who loved me softly enough that my edges didn't have to stay razor sharp. He teaches African American history and writes footnotes in the margins of library books, the kind of guy who keeps spare bookmarks in every coat. On our 3rd date he said, "Trauma can be a forge or a cage. Sounds like you chose the heat," and I knew I was in trouble. Our daughters toddled into the world just after New Year's, a matched set of stubborn wills in swaddling blankets, Skylar and Jolie. They have their father's honey eyes and their mother's propensity to escape playpens. Evenings, they chase fireflies across the yard until tiny green dots blink in their hair like jeweled barrettes. When I watch them in the twilight haze, their squeals rising into the mountains, I sometimes remember the dusty bus station and feel a strange, stubborn tenderness toward the girl I used to be. She got me here. Tuesday in late May, the receptionist buzzes me. Law office on line 1 says it's personal. My stomach flips. Reflex. Vestigial, but present. I close my office door and pick up. Ms. Clark, I'm Robert Michaud, executor for the Clark Family Trust. A pause, as if he's waiting for me to hang up. I don't. Your parents recently finalized the sale of Clark Freight Logistics and instructed that net proceeds be split equally among their children. Your share comes to $540,711. I stare at my reflection in the dark computer screen. Cheekbones, freckles, neat locks pinned high for summer. Nothing changes. That's a substantial amount. Yes, ma'am. Shall we wire the funds? I imagine Dad's precise block letters on a check. Mom's perfume sealing the envelope. I also imagine using that money and letting them claim a victory lap in some family gossip chain. But money itself is not guilty. Intent is. Send it, I say. I'll sign whatever release you need. When the wire confirmation pings my phone, I hold the device at arm's length, as if looking at a wild animal I respect but will never trust. Toxic severance package received, I mutter to no one, and the absurdity makes me laugh. A quick, bright sound that echoes off glass walls. That night Jordan and I sit at the kitchen island with laptops, spreadsheets, and mugs of lemon tea. The girls sleep upstairs. Twin puffs of toddler snores through the baby monitor. I divide the sum in 2 columns, future and others. First, we max out 529 plans for both girls. College funds fat as ripening fruit. Next, we block grant $20,000 to the local public library for a media lab renovation. Jordan grins wide. I add another 10 because libraries raised me long before any human bothered. The bulk, $300,000, we earmark for a scholarship that will send black designers from small towns to national conferences, the ones where you learn the code words and make the handshake connections. By midnight, the spreadsheet balances at 0. I sign my name at the bottom of each draft transfer. The stylus doesn't tremble. Early July brings a heat wave so thick the agency AC hums like an overworked hive. Mateo builds a hydration tracker Slack bot that spams us with water reminders. It becomes the office pet. One sticky Thursday, I step onto the balcony for fresh, a relative term, and my phone buzzes. Unknown number. I let it ring out of curiosity. Voicemail transcribes. Mom, saw the scholarship news. We're proud of you. I delete the message without listening to the actual audio. I feel no clench, no anger. Just the mild surprise of finding a receipt in an old coat pocket and realizing the coat no longer fits. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. The last evening of summer vacation, we host a backyard cookout. Raphael mans a grill he insists is pitmaster quality. It's actually an ancient Weber missing half its paint. Geneva brings peach cobbler and stories none of us can fact check but all of us believe. Maya's twins teach Skylar and Jolie how to aim butterfly nets. Someone cues Sam Cooke on the outdoor speaker, because some traditions deserve to keep breathing. Dusk settles slowly, and the yard glows with mason jar lanterns. Fireflies appear, tentative at first, then riotous, tiny pulses dotting the dark. I scoop the girls onto my lap on the porch swing. Once, I tell them, Mama saw a sunset that tried to swallow her whole. She thought she was alone, but she was only beginning. They're too young to grasp the metaphor, but they like the way my voice wraps words together. They hum along, heads nodding sleepily against my shoulders. Jordan leans behind us and places a glass of iced tea on the rail. Mint leaves, extra lemon, exactly right. Ready for your keynote, he teases. I clear my throat. Theatrical. They called it tough love, I recite to the stars, but I call it my origin story. Jordan clinks his glass to mine. Friends on the lawn cheer like they've heard the line 100 times and never tire of its bloom. I decide then that I'll keep telling it. At conferences, on live streams, in whispered kitchen chats with interns who think rock bottom is the end of the road. Because the truth is simple. Forge heat can warp or strengthen. I chose the latter. And if my blaze lights a fuse in someone else, Some quiet kid hunched in humiliation, some grown woman weighing a suitcase of shame, then every scorched step was worth it. So, bestie reading this, if my fire stirred even a spark in yours, press that heart, share this story with someone who needs Tinder, and drop your own Phoenix story below. We heal louder, together. The porch creaks as the swing drifts, fireflies drift higher, and laughter drifts widest of all, across the dark, across the years, across every mile between a dusty bus station and this porch where my life shines unfettered.